Hey, welcome to Wild Resources. This is your host, Phil Mendenhall again. Today I'm going to show you how to skin a raccoon, flesh it, and stretch it. This will apply to a lot of different animals out there like possums, skunks, coyotes. Beavers are a little bit different, but mink, muskrat, all that. So I'll get into the barn and show you how we do this. There are a few things you're going to need to get started when you're skinning a raccoon and fleshing it. Right here, I've got a brush. I'm going to brush the hide out real well, and that'll get any burrs and any other mud balls or anything like that in the fur that when you're fleshing it may cause you to tear the hide on it. So another thing's just a good sharp knife, and then I've got I use this to strip the tail. It's just a carpet knife with a hook blade on it, and what I'll do is just run that down the lower part of the tail. I'll show you how to do all that in just a sec. Okay, the first step in doing this is you want to make a cut along the leg. Well, first of all, wait, let's brush him off real good. That way we get rid of all this stuff. This guy was a chicken killer. He's killed several chickens in my coop, and I caught him the other day, froze him up. I thawed him out today. You want to wash all the blood off the head and wherever. When I dispatched him, I used a 22, and right to the head. That's the quickest way to do it. He didn't suffer whatsoever. Caught him in a cage trap. He's right down there at the chicken coop. And we lose a lot of our chickens to these guys every year. Lose a lot of my corn crop. They're devastating the turkey population and all the ground nesting birds in this area. And the price of the fur is so low, nobody's trapping them anymore. Because for this size coon, after all the work I put into it, I might get $3 out of it, maybe. So a lot of trappers have said, the heck with it, we're not going to trap them. But a lot of guys are going after them just for the fact that they want to help the ground nesting birds. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll lay him on his back. And I'm going to start right here at the heel of him and make a slice. Right all the way up to the rectum, just above it. Let's see. Where'd that go? Okay, let's see. Alright, so I made a cut there. Then I'm going to make a cut on this side. Do it the same way. Right up to his anus. On the inside of it. Okay, he's got a little poop in there, but we're going to work around that. A lot of people eat raccoon. I don't enjoy the meat. It's a real fatty kind of a meat. I usually give them away to my friends that do enjoy eating them. You want to be real careful. Wear rubber gloves and don't get their feces on you because it can cause all kinds of diseases. Had a buddy that his friend came over and was helping him skin coons one year. And he smoked cigarettes, and he wasn't wearing gloves. That old boy got sicker than a dog. Thought he was going to die, ended up in the hospital. He lost like 50 pounds. What we're going to do is start down here on the legs. And make some little slices in it. Right along the skin. Let's see where I'm just cutting it away from the muscle. I don't make raccoon lures. You can if you're into it. They'll eat just about anything. I used a chicken for bait to catch this guy. A hawk had killed it the other day. And two bald eagles were sitting out there. One was keeping watch on my dam, and the other one was down there eating it. He'd stolen it from the hawk. And it was interesting. I walked down there and they flew away. Had to go and yell at them because the hawks will kill our chickens too. They're pretty bad about it. We have free-range chickens and we let them go free and they don't get eaten. This is the coon's penis here. Believe it or not, you can save those and people will pay for them. I just sold a whole bunch of them for 50 cents a piece. Okay, so I was peeling this off. I got a phone call, had to take it. Somebody came and bought my hay from me. So what I'm doing is I'm just peeling this skin off from around the legs here. See if I can reach in here. There we go. All right, so I've opened that up behind that leg. And now I'm just gonna cut that right off the leg there. I've got a little Klingon here that's wanting to attach to the muscle. So I'm going to peel that back. Okay. So I'm just going to peel that back. And then here's the tail here. So I'm going to cut behind it. Wait. So anyway, what we're doing is I'm cutting around the tail now. Against the back. So I've got that little part cut. So I want to just slice up here against this, right against that membrane. And go all the way down to the foot here. And then we'll just keep working around that meat. So you can poke your finger through. Then I'll zip that off there. You don't want to cut through the Achilles tendon right back here because that'll mess it up when you're trying to put it on the skinning gambrel. Okay, so I'm just going to peel that back off. And then I will cut this side of the tail. Alright, so I'm all the way through the tail now. I'm going to peel that back a little bit. And I can use this knife right here. There's a couple ways you can do it. I can use that little tail grip thing, but I just want to get this tail off a little bit right now. So I'm cutting the back side of it like that. And I'm going to peel it back off the tailbone until I get to the end of my cut there. So that's all I'm going to do there. So now we're going to go over to the skinning machine. Forgot, I got to take the tail off first. So here's what I'm going to do here. Okay, I have a tail puller on this coon. And I put it in there. Come over here. Well, this is a tough one. There, now it pulled that whole tail out of the bone, which I can finish it up later here. So, all right. So you stand over here when I hook this up. All right. Okay, show this a little closer. I'm going to stick the skinning gambrel right through that hind leg right there at the Achilles tendon. Then I'll do the same thing with this. I want to make sure you don't run that into your hand when you're doing it. And this, I had a guy make this skinning machine for me. It does the same thing you can do by your hand. I clip these vice grips on there. I clip it where the other leg was. All right, and then I'm going to make it go up. And what that does, those clamps hold on to there. And this just slowly peels the skin off. And I don't have to use my shoulders anymore to pull that off. Okay, so my battery's about dead. I've got it hooked onto a winch And a car battery. The winch is over there, and the car battery's here. So what I want to do is cut this membrane here that's holding this on. And this can all be done, like I said. All you need is that skinning gambrel up there and hanging from the roof, and you can pull this on down by yourself. But like I said, this machine helps out. If you're doing a lot of fur, it's kind of a pain in your body as you get older, especially with my shoulders like they are. They crack and pop really badly. And I've done so much of this in my life, it's kind of taken its toll on my shoulders. But you just keep working around this head.
Talk about the white. Is that sinew or fat?
This white, this is a lot of fat on this coon. And this is the membrane that holds it onto the meat. Okay? So you got to be real careful up here around the arms because you can cut your hide there. So what I want to do is get it about to there, right to his elbow. And I stuck my finger through, and then I pull it down a ways. And then I stick my thumb through there again, and I pull it down. So, and there, you don't want to keep a whole lot of this skin on here, on the front legs. They don't use that for anything anyway when you're selling it to market or if you're tanning it yourself. So now I'm just going to keep on working around the head, pulling down as I do it. And there's a little bit of meat here. You can see that. That all has to come off. Now I'm coming up to the ears on the back of the head here real soon. And I'm going to have to cut into that cartilage. Okay, so now I'm at the ear. You can see this cartilage right here. All right, so I'm going to cut deep into that. And there comes it right off of the ear. And that gives you a good handle to hold on to while you keep trimming. And then I'm going to come to this other ear. You can kind of see the cartilage right here on that ear. So I'm going to cut through it. Oh, bullet hole in the head there that made him expire quite rapidly. He didn't even know what hit him. All right, now we're going to come up to the eyes next. And you can start seeing this membrane here where the eye is, right there. So I cut through that first eye. Trim a little on the nose, then we work our way on the next eye. Once you do this for a while, you get used to doing it, and you'll know where those eyeballs are and when you can cut. Now here I'm hitting the mouth and the lip region, so you got to be careful around this nose and the mouth. I'm going to stick my hand in there, see if this coon had distemper or rabies or something. I'm keeping it from getting on my hands by wearing these good heavy-duty latex gloves, because you're going to have to grab around where the mouth is. Just be careful. Always wash your hands when you're done with all this stuff. Don't smoke while you're doing it. Don't eat while you're doing it. Don't drink anything. Just keep yourself as clean as possible. The last thing you need is some kind of infection. All right, now the other part is you don't need the lower jaw. So what I'm going to do is start right here and cut that hide away from his jaw. And now I'm going to cut his nose off. All right, so we have the whole thing here. Unclip these. All right, and that coon is skinned. So now, the next part of this, I'm going to show you how to flesh. Okay, here's my fleshing beam right here. And I'm going to put on an apron here.
A modified ironing board.
So I don't get anything. You can kind of show the whole thing here and see what it looks like all the way down, how I've got it set up. Okay, and there, we're going to slide this rascal on here. I'm going to put this skinning apron on because you're going to get up against this. And you want an apron on so you don't get it all over you. Most of the stuff, if you get into any outdoor sporting goods magazines, you can find PCS Outdoor, or if you get Fur Fish and Game, a magazine of that, you'll find all the different trapping supply places out there that you can buy all these different knives. You can even buy these fleshing beams. I made this myself out of a 2x8.
What kind of wood is that?
Pine. Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. So anyway, I'm going to take this and I want to remove this meat.
Show the knife again, the skinning knife.
This is a fleshing knife.
Okay.
This is a Weeby fleshing knife. I like this. I bought it a couple of years ago.
Got handles, and
Yep.
then both sides are sharp?
Yeah, one is kind of dull. The concave side is dull. This side, I'll show you how to sharpen it in a little bit here. But you want just one side of that sharp. So here I am. Gonna scrape all this. And you can do this on deer hides, possum, anything else, beaver. But you want to get this meat and gristle and everything else off of there. And this is the tough part right up around the face and the ears, so you don't want to rip. You want to use a slicing motion in it, but you got to be real careful. So that you don't tear up the ears and make a big hole in it. Coon doesn't have a lot of fat on him. May look like it, but I had some of these coons that were so fat you just get about 5 pounds of fat off of them. This guy must have been pretty hungry. And there are places you're going to find where ticks have gotten in them. You'll see darker skin down there, and you got to be careful around that. They show up as big blue marks.
That would cut easier?
Well,
Cut
yeah,
open?
it's a thinner skin where those tick bites are. I'm going to keep spinning this hide around so I can keep working all this meat off at about the same rate. These lips are real hard to get. I need my knife. Hold on. See all that thick stuff around there that's... You want as much of that off as you can get.
And you're just skimming the surface so you're not cutting it.
Right. These are where the whiskers are and the lips. They don't do anything with the head of the coon unless you're making a coonskin cap or something like that. When they go to the furriers, all this comes off. They just cut the whole head apart off. Most of the time they won't use it at all. It's just the back that they're interested in when they're making coats. It's just pure gristle in there. Oh, this is the toughest old coon I've seen in a while.
How do you age a coon?
I don't know how you age a coon. I've never aged one before. You can kind of tell the big old boar males.
Is it anything to do like the teeth of a deer?
Not really. It's just the size. And sometimes as these old guys get real old, they'll get, you know, where they're malnourished even. But when they're in their prime, boy, I wouldn't tangle with a coon for anything. They're mean as can be, and they'll bite your fingers off. I was talking to a young man a long time ago. It was when I was first trapping. He was trapping one of the lakes down here in southern Illinois. And he took his friend out in his boat. This kid was only like 15. And they caught a coon on the bank. And the kid jumped out. He thought it was dead. And the little kid jumped out, picked it up, and the thing bit 2 of his fingers off. I mean, just like that. You don't think wild animals... Well, this knife is about as dull as I can get right now. See, all you need is one edge of this sharp. This is about the 3rd coon I've done this year, so I'm a little rusty at it. So bear with me. It'll take me a little longer than it normally does. I used to trap a lot. Sometimes I get 20, 25 coons in a night, and about 5 to 10 beavers sometimes. When you got to skin that much fur, that's a lot of work. I'd be out the skinning shed till midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then be up at 6 the next morning going out to check traps again. So we just want to be very careful around these legs and the armpits there, because the skin gets pretty thin. Yeah, we've got a little cut under that. Jeez.
How'd that happen?
A little hole, I don't know. It must have been when I was pulling the hide off of him there. Might have had a weak spot. I think I cut it with a knife, but I may have just touched that. I don't think I did, though. That's where I poked my finger through. Takes a whole lot of scraping to get a coon done. If you want to watch somebody do this, go to one of the conventions in your state. Trapping conventions. And they got guys doing skinning demos on how to do all this. There's a lot of YouTube channels that have it on. You can learn to do it pretty darn quick. But the best experience is going to a trapping demonstration. They got a fella in there that'll be skinning every kind of hide, from coons to bobcats to coyotes to fox and everything else. See, I call these old gristlebacks here. You hear that popping noise? That's the gristle. And it can wear you out, let me tell you. Because that stuff, where they've been in fights with other coons and with dogs and everything, they'll get grabbed by the back, on the upper back. I've had some that was just total scar tissue in there, and it is a pain to get through some of that. I call them old gristlebacks. You can see how hard that is to come off of there. I'd much rather have a big fatty coon, to tell you the truth, than an old gristleback. Because they got so much scar tissue. You can kind of see it right here, where some bite marks have gone through him. Got a lot of bite marks on him. See, that fat turns into this almost a gel here. I scrape it on the side of my board down here and let it fall into a bucket. Oh, get rid of it. You want to get all that fat off of there. This will be real greasy on your hide. Now here's a nipple. You gotta be real careful around this, because you hit one of these nipples and you push real hard, you'll rip a big hole. And and there's one right there. Man, I was barely even touching that thing. They don't use the fur on the belly either, so it's not, and you're gonna be cutting a big window on the belly also. So even when you make a little mistake like that, I was barely touching that one, and it went right through that nipple. So you gotta just go real lightly. I said this one was caught in a cage trap. And kill our chickens. Cut this off here.
Perfect.
Alright, so now we just gotta pull the last of this off of the leg here. This is off the hind leg. You gotta be careful with that. That kind of curls up. Watch this as I do it. See how the skin kind of gets real loose there? You can put a hole in that real fast when it curls up like that. Now we're working our way on the back here onto the tail. I'm just going to use this knife to slit the tail all the way to the end. You want to make sure you cut that tail all the way up. All the way to the end. All right. So that tail's done all the way to the very end. All right, we're just going to get the last of this fat off. I'll tell you what, guys, if you're doing this when you're just beginning, you'll mess them up. Start with your smaller coons that aren't worth much money, and work your way up to your bigger ones that are worth a lot of money. Well, they're not worth much at all. Small coons aren't worth anything anymore. They won't even give you $1 for them. You might as well, if you're catching them just to get rid of them, put a bullet in their head and be done with it. Because they are killing all the ground nesting birds out there. They'll just destroy a flock of chickens in one night. If they get in your pen, they will kill every chicken you got. Golly, this one tougher than a $2 steak. I'll get the last of this off of here. Still got a little bit of fat left on this. I want to get it all off. Okay.
And there's no fat inside the tail?
Some of them have a lot of fat on it. This is not a fat coon, so I'm not too worried about him. Jeez Louise. Oh, that's just the anus up in there. Okay. I'm going to cut all that off anyway. Okay, so my coon is fleshed. So now we're going to board it. So what we do is this is a coon board here. And they're about 7 to 8 inches wide down here at the base. They're very thin. You can see that. You don't want them real wide because they won't stretch as long. So I'm going to turn it inside out. Keep it just like it is. You want to get these legs straight, the mouth straight, the eyes, the ears, all that as much as possible. Okay. And we're going to move it onto the table here. Alright. There's a staple in here that's going to gouge me if I'm not careful. These staples will cut you so badly. This is what I staple them on with. So what I'm going to do is turn it over onto the stomach first. I'm going to hold it way down here. And I'll staple that foot in like that. Bring it about to the center. All right, so that's stapled in. So now here's what I was talking about on that window. See all this extra skin just hanging in here? I'm gonna start right out here. And you can cut that kind of in a semicircle, okay? Now when this board comes out, the fur buyer will be able to look down in here and see what it looks like on the fur on this side. Okay, so I pull down on this tail a bit. And I'll show you guys a secret if you've never done this before. So what I usually do, I'm going to take a pair of pliers here and I'm going to pull this down over here. And what you want on the back side where this tail is, you want these all to come back equal across the line. They pay you how long this coon is by from the tip of the nose down to where this is. And if you leave a big thing like this, then they're going to take it to the shortest point and measure it. So I always take a pair of pliers just so I can get a better grip on it. All right, and I tap that down. Then I take this side, try to get it down as even as I can with that side. Alright, so that's good there. Now, I want to get a piece of cardboard like this. You can use screen or anything like that, or you can use push pins. I like doing it this way. It dries just as well. So I'll take this up at the top and I'll push it down all the way, keeping the skin open. Okay, and then I just staple the cardboard. And that's it. That coon is done. He's boarded up. Now I got to get a wedge. And this is real important for you guys to remember, put a wedge on a coon, because if you leave it on the board drying like this, you'll never get it back off. It's going to go all the way up to the nose. All right. And this coon is ready to go. That's a nice looking coon there. And when you get done, mice have chewed on these a little bit, but this is what that dried pelt will look like. You can see this one had a couple bites in the back. Anyway, so that's what they should look like.